All right. Hello and welcome everyone to the CSLP 2025 Color Our World webinar. My name is Beth Yates. I'm the children's consultant from the Indiana State Library's Professional Development Office. I will be your host, presenter, and question moderator today. A couple of announcements for you. First of all, to register for other webinars or other trainings available from the Professional Development Office, please see the Indiana State Library's events calendar, which can be found on our website at www.in.gov/library, and then it's under Services for Libraries. This session is 1 hour, so you're eligible to receive 1 LEU for this presentation. And if you're watching a recording of this webinar, instructions on how to obtain your LEU are in the video's description on YouTube. Or you can also find those instructions on the Indiana State Library's continuing education site under LEU policies. But in short, when you watch a recording, your director or someone in HR should create a certificate for you, as they're the ones who can verify that you watched. One more note, I think most of you are from Indiana, but a couple folks might be from somewhere else, another state, or you might have stumbled upon this recording on the state library's website. So if you are from another state, you will need to contact your state library to discuss whether you have access to the collaborative summer library program materials. And you can check the CSLP website to learn who your state rep is under membership information, and then state and territory representatives. Okay, I think we are ready to get started. So let's do this. Okay, so again, my name is Beth Yates. I am the children's consultant at the Indiana State Library in our professional development office. I've been at the state library for about 9 years now, and before that, I did work for 12 years at a public library as a children's librarian and department manager. And during that time, my library used CSLP for several of those years. So all this is to say I have a long history with CSLP, probably approaching 20 years at this point. In my role at ISL, I also happen to be the Indiana State Representative for the Collaborative Summer Library Program, or CSLP. So if you've ever wondered where those common themes and the artwork comes from each year, it's from CSLP. It's a nonprofit that's run almost completely by volunteers. There's only a couple of paid employees, and those volunteers are often state reps like me who work at state libraries. But they also are often volunteers from public libraries across the country. So we love it when Indiana folks volunteer on CSLP committees because it helps us get, our Indiana thoughts and opinions across. And in fact, we have a couple of Indiana folks who are chairs of CSLP committees right now. You've got Rachel Milburn from Frankfort Public Library, who is a co-chair of the theme and slogan committee this year, which is pretty cool. That's a pretty important committee. And then we have Abby Cuman, who works at our Talking Books and Braille library here at the State Library, and she is the inclusion committee chair this year. So yay for Indiana folks. Committees are the lifeblood of CSLP. They are what keep it ticking. And so they are always looking for volunteers. They open their call for volunteers usually in late summer, early fall, usually around August. And so when that opens up, I send that out on the listservs. So keep your eyes peeled for an email about that on the listservs starting around August of next year if you're interested and possibly volunteering. You can also always email me and ask me your questions about what's involved. And if I don't know the answer, I can get the answer for you pretty easily. So yeah, I hope some of you will consider volunteering in the future. It also looks great on a resume. And then also, what is my duty as a state rep? What does that even mean? Well, besides committee work, I do things like collecting feedback from all of you on your preferred future themes and slogans. And I do this via surveys, which I also send out on the listservs a few times a year. So watch out for those too. And then also just a quick reminder that the Indiana State Library pays for membership dues for all public libraries in Indiana. as well as we pay for access to the manual for everybody. So each Indiana Public Library can use these materials or not use them to whatever extent you wish. You certainly don't have to use the CSLP stuff at all, but of course it will make your life easier, and hopefully you're here today because you plan on using it in 2025. So yay, you, if that's the case. All right. Any questions about CSLP? I just like to, when I worked at a public library, I didn't really know what it was, where all this stuff came from, and I think it's good to understand it's a national program. It's not just like me sitting here making these decisions. Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat, but if you come up with something, you can ask it there. Here's our agenda. I'm not going to read it to you, but you can see it's kind of 4 major sections that we're going to go through today. And we're going to be starting with the basics. So this is just a few things that I want to make sure everyone's aware of, and then something new that you'll learn about in just a second. First of all, you may have seen this before. I hope you have, but if you haven't, I like to make sure folks understand what is the actual requirement by Indiana State Code about summer reading programs for public libraries. And there's literally one sentence in the Indiana Code about this. And it says, the library system shall offer a children's reading program for a minimum of 6 weeks at each fixed location annually. So let's break that down. First of all, fixed location just means a building, so not necessarily your bookmobile. The reading program means some sort of incentivized, encouraging kids to read sort of program. It's an overarching program that lasts multiple weeks. It's different than like an individual event or program, which I think confuses newer folks sometimes. What is the difference between those things? So there's like an individual events and programs that you all do year round. And then there's the summer reading program, which is usually multiple weeks long and is kind of an incentivized, encouraging them to read program. You might be encouraging them to do more than read, and that's great too. But there's a word that is missing from this sentence. Can anybody guess what word is missing that you might expect to see there? You can put it in the chat. Yes, summer. The word summer's not in there. They removed the word summer a few years ago when a lot of school systems were kind of going towards a more balanced calendar, because they wanted it to be flexible for you to use in your community at a time that works best for you. Now, summer is still the traditional time to do it. It's the most popular time to do it. I would say most libraries still do it in summer. But FYI, you can do it other times of year. And then the other thing to note is it's a minimum of 6 weeks. Those are not necessarily consecutive 6 weeks. So you could do, if June is your most popular time, you could do 4 weeks in June, and then you can make up those other 2 weeks some other time of year, maybe on spring break, fall break, over the winter break. You can also, of course, do more than 6 weeks. There's nothing saying you have to limit it to 6 weeks. You could do more if you want. But I just like to make sure folks know, again, so you can make this as flexible and to work as well for your individual community as is possible. The only other thing I'm going to point out here is sometimes people note that it does specifically say a children's reading program, and children's is generally assumed to mean school age in this case. And so the state code just says you have to do a program for kids. Of course, I would encourage, if your library has the capacity, to offer your summer reading programs from birth through adult, because there's benefits for all ages. And certainly younger children can earn points by being read to, and then the people who are reading to them can earn points, or whatever credit your particular library is using. So do what you need to do to make it work for your community. Okay. Any questions about that, by the way? All right. I'll keep an eye on the chat just in case. Okay. I want to do something a little different this year. We're going to try something kind of new. Um, we're going to reflect on our summer whys. I always say it's a good idea to know why you're doing any program. And because summer reading stretches over so many weeks and we spend so much staff time planning, and we're often spending a lot of money on this, right? It's especially important to step back each year and to ask ourselves, why do we do it at all? Right? Besides, of course, the fact that it is required by the state. Why else might we be doing summer reading? And I think it's unique, usually, that reason for each library, for each community, and that is as it should be. It should be to answer some needs in your community. So we need to be asking ourselves, what are we really trying to accomplish when we are putting so much effort into this? And so this could be a personal reason why. You might have your own ideas about why summer is important, but ideally it's also evaluated and agreed upon by your entire library or your entire library system. And it's also important to really dig deeper down into why we have these goals and what it is that we're really trying to do for our communities. What needs are we actually trying to meet, and are we meeting them, right? So today I'm gonna introduce a technique that I've learned for examining your goals, and it's called root cause analysis. Ooh, fancy. Ooh. And all this is just a method of kind of getting at the root cause or the root reason for your goals. And so again, what we're really trying to accomplish at the heart of that goal, so we can make sure that we are designing our programs to meet those needs. I hope that makes sense. Um, Okay. So it begins with considering your why or your goals, or again, better yet, your library's goals. So if you've never discussed this before at your library, you could try having a meeting with some of the key planners, possibly even your director, depending on the size of your library. And you might look at your library's strategic goals, and then because every library has to have a strategic plan, right? And then have a discussion about what you want to accomplish through your summer reading program. Are you trying to get more people to use the library, etc.? Like, what are your reasons? That is one common one that I hear is, we want to get more people into the library. So then you step back from there once you decide, okay, this is what we're saying is our reason. Then you step back from there and you ask yourself, but why? Why are we trying to get more people into the library? What are the reasons that we are doing that? Once you answer that, you can ask yourself, but why again? So you keep asking yourself, but why? But why is that my answer? Why? Um, you do it several more times until you hit on the actual kind of core or root cause of why you want that to be your goal. So you might find that you say you're trying to get more people in the library, but your root reason is because you want to ensure the library stays a vital part of your community. And if that's the case, then you might decide to align your summer reading program maybe this year to partner with more outside organizations and to make more connections that really bring the library into the community. Or, it might be some other root reason, and that's fine too. But no matter what, you can use that information to tweak your program and to make sure it's meeting your real goals. So let me give you an example because I know I've just been talking abstractly here quite a bit. So here's the example. So my initial summer why, and I'm just doing the obvious one here, is because it's a state requirement to hold a reading program, right? It's a state requirement. We have to do it. So that's my summer why, we'll say. So then I would ask myself, but why? Why is it a state requirement? So I might come up with this reason because public libraries can help combat summer slide and incentivizing reading might motivate some kids. Okay, well, but why? Why is it important to do those things? Because when reading and learning don't happen in the summer, some kids fall behind. Okay, but why is, here's another question, but why is it the library's responsibility? Because libraries can encourage kids to keep reading and offer other opportunities to explore and be curious. And then one last, but why? Why do we need to do these things? Because kids learn best through play and exploration of their interests, and we can provide those opportunities. So I went from, well, it's a state requirement to hold a reading program to, oh, well, actually, it's because I think it's really important that we are able to provide these opportunities for kids to explore their interests. So if that's the case, I can look at my summer reading program and I can say, well, let's make sure that we are offering plenty of individual events and programs that will offer opportunities for kids to explore their interests, which you're probably already doing, but you can do it more intentionally. So does that make sense? Give me, if this whole idea of kind of getting to the root cause and how it can affect how you plan your summer makes sense, can you like give me like a thumbs up or like a or just got it or something in the chat? Okay. Thank you. Thanks for those of you who are doing that. Okay, great, great. Okay. So here's just a couple more examples of kind of, I just wanted to give you some other thoughts about common summer whys that I hear. Again, these are like the starting whys that you would then dig more deeply into. I hear a lot, we want to engage our communities and kids during the summer. We want to bring people into the library. I said that one already. To serve our community where they are, to create lifelong library users. I also hear to get new people into the library. Right? So those are all really common ones. You might have a different one, and that's okay. And what I'd like you to do is now think, what is your reason or your library's reason? Do you have a summer, like an overarching initial summer why? And I want you to think about it and then put it in the chat. Now, this is just your starting why. This is not your ending why. And then I think what we're going to do is I'm going to pick one or two of them and we're going to try to work through what the core why might be. Let me put these examples up again. And maybe what we'll do is you can go ahead and, okay, great. We've got a few folks. Oh, these are good. These are great. We've got to make reading fun, to help students retain their reading skills during the long break. Our whys to bring more people into the library, to build community in our town where people gather together for the love of reading and learning. For relevancy, to elevate community awareness on the necessity of libraries. Let's see, I don't want to miss one. To be relevant in the community, to help retain literacy skills during the summer, to promote creativity and a love for reading and writing, encourage the youth to want to read and help raise AR goals over the summer, make reading fun, encourage reading for fun, keep the kids reading during the summer so their reading levels don't drop, promote reading into adulthood, bridge the reading gap. Did I miss any? Encourage reading for fun. I said that one. Promote the library's presence in the community to upcoming generations. To keep students reading during break. We want the kids to know that we offer many different things to help promote the library and its services. Great. So let's see. Let's pick. I've seen several people say that they want to do summer reading as their overarching summer reading why is to make reading fun. Okay. So we're going to use that one as an example because several people said it. So if we said that our overarching reason is to make reading fun, we're going to ask ourselves, okay, but why? Why should reading be fun? Somebody want to tell me in the chat? Or what are the benefits of making reading fun? We could approach it that way. It's a good escape. Okay. Anybody else? Kids will want to do it. Lifelong learning. Reading is an essential life skill. Ooh, ooh. Oh, they're fast and furious now because it is fun. Absolutely. Becomes less stigmatizing. So they won't be closed-minded individuals. Helps both kids and adults expand their learning and empathy skills. These are all great. I'm going to stop. I love this one. So let's go with this one next. Reading being fun helps both kids and adults expand their learning and empathy skills. So if we say that, well then, but why? Why do we want them to expand their learning and empathy skills? I'm going to put that in the chat so it's at the bottom so y'all can see it. What would our but why be for this one? Why do we want them to do those things? Mhm. Yeah, to be kind and loving humans. Sure. Make the community a better place. Yes. Our communities will not be much of a community if we don't have folks who are actively participating in it and who are doing it with kindness and empathy. Because good humans have empathy and are lifelong learners. Yeah, these are all great reasons. So you could continue then to say, to become better citizens and community members. You could ask about why again, and you could drill down again. What is a reason why we want them to be better better citizens and community members? Like, how does that benefit everyone, right? So you can continue. I won't make us belabor the point and break it all down here live, but I did want to kind of give you a taste of how you would go about this exercise because it is a great one to use not only in just meetings like your summer reading planning, but also if you're a director or you're on a strategic planning committee or something, it's a great tool to potentially use when you're figuring out your strategic plan too. Because it might, you might have this thought that, oh, well, we really want to accomplish this, but maybe at the root, you need to be looking a little more deeply about what you're actually trying to accomplish by doing that. Yeah. So thank you everybody for participating in that. And I hope it's a tool you'll take back and that some of you might even use someday. All right. So any questions about that? You can put them in the chat and I will, again, keep an eye on it. But in the meantime, I wanted to let you know if you are someone who is brand new to planning summer reading, if you're one of those folks who is at a smaller library, you suddenly find yourself in charge of the whole thing and you've never planned a summer reading program before, I do have a short tutorial video. I think it's like 11 minutes. I recorded it a few years ago that just kind of covers some of the basics of what to think about as you're starting to plan a summer reading, just kind of the different elements that you need to consider as you're starting to plan. Now, if your library has already got something established or you've been doing this for years, you probably don't need this video. But this will be linked from the resource page that I will be sharing with you. So at the beginning, I mentioned resources. Well, there's a resource website I'll be sending you the link to that has links to all of these things that I'm going to be talking about today. Just a heads up. All right. Let's move on to our next section, which is our CSL updates, our 2025 program updates. The first thing that I should mention is that the online manual is up and available. I have sent the codes to directors back in October via email. So hopefully your director passed that on to you. But also I had shared a form out on the listservs. There's those listservs again. I'll talk to you more about how you can sign up for the listservs here later. But I shared a format on the listservs so that individual Indiana Public Library staffers could request the code from me. And I've sent it out to tons of people, over 150 people for sure. So hopefully you've received the code if you need it. But that being said, if you have not, you can always email me to request it. And if you're watching this live today, when I send out your LEUs and resources, just respond to that email and just let me know if you need the code and I will send it along. You can see this is the manual's homepage this year. It looks a little different than it has the past couple of years. You'll be navigating along the top, that blue menu bar at the top. But I'm not going to go into deep detail about how to navigate it today because I did make a tutorial for that as well. There's a tutorial for everything. So this is again a short 7-minute tutorial. It just walks you through how to get logged in, how to navigate the basics of the online manual. And you do need that code in order to access it. And yes, the code changes every year. So even if you had last year's code, you will need the new code this year. That's just to keep this all kind of proprietary because, it's a paid resource. And so, they just want member states to be able to use it and access it. I also wanted to mention that the CSLP online store is open already and is shipping things out. So check it out if you're interested. I mostly bring this up, because CSLP runs their own store. They have the past several years. And all of the proceeds from the sales here go back into the program, go back into what they can offer in the store next year. Because again, it is a nonprofit. CSLP is a nonprofit. They're not trying to make money here. But order early, right? Those of you who've been around probably know it's always a good idea, especially if there's something specific that you really want, to get those orders in sooner rather than later, because there's deadlines that are posted on here about like you have to order by here in order to get your items by here, but also because sometimes things do sell out, and they have to, if they're going to reorder from the supplier, they need plenty of time to do that. They can't reorder in like March. That's not enough time to get the items. So the earlier you order, the more they know, do we need to restock something? And you can make sure you get what you want. I wanted to show you a couple of the t-shirts because I know t-shirts are always the big thing for most folks. So here's one option. Here's another. Here's another. And then here is my personal favorite. It is a black and white that you can use like fabric markers on because it's color our world. Get it? And my personal favorite option for this shirt, though, is that you could tie-dye it. Love it. I know if I was still in a public library, I would like to have a little tie-dye party with my coworkers, and then we could all wear our tie-dyed shirts all summer. How fun would that be? Or of course, you can use them for a program. There are children's sizes of these shirts too. I don't know if it might get a little expensive to order shirts for everybody who might come to a program, but certainly that's why it seemed like the staff option for tie-dyeing these shirts might be a little more feasible. But you never know. You never know. So hope you enjoy those. Let's look at the artwork. You have been seeing snippets of the artwork through this entire presentation, of course. The artist this year is Mike Mullen. He is an illustrator and a graphic designer based out of Vermont. He's done a couple of national ad campaigns. He's actually not a children's book illustrator, which is new. Oh, yay! Kathy loves the art this year. So glad to hear it. I love it too. So I hope other folks do too. But yeah, he did this mural in his local Target. He's done Cabot Creamery, the US Open, and a few other things. And CSLP just loved his very colorful, bright artwork, which is, people have been saying for years, we want brighter, more colorful, more bold artwork. And I think that this year definitely fits the bill for that. Here is the poster. So this year also, that's a little different. All of the posters and things are all in the same style. So rather than having a few different styles, they're kind of all the same style. Hopefully that works for most of you. So here's the main poster, which I think, of course, will work for any age. So I love that. And then there's two additional posters that do have pictures of the kids. The one on the right has like all the different types of art, because the theme this summer is art. It's not just painting and color, but like all of the arts. So you can see them all represented here. I could even see this being like a search and find sort of activity. You put the poster up, you put a little can you find, you know, sign next to it, and the kids can try to find the different things in the sign. But yeah, they are on the busy side, but it feels right to me I know it might not be everybody's tea, but I love it, and I hope you do too. All right. Any questions about that stuff before we start talking about some resources? Is Kathy the only one who likes the art? Does anybody else like the art? Give me some reassurance. Okay, great. Yay. Okay, good. All right, let's talk about resources for program planning. Again, I've mentioned I will send out that link to the resource page. It will be available to you. I'll send it out with your LEU certificates. If you're watching this live today, it will be posted with the recording. But I also like to make sure you know how to find it on the website, because what if you lose your email, So my hope is that if then you go to the State Library's website, you can kind of navigate your way through and find it. So you go to the State Library's website, first of all, and then you're going to go to Services for Libraries in that left-hand menu. And it takes you to this page that you see before you that says Services for Libraries at the top. And then you're going to go to Resources for Librarians Serving Youth. And I'm the first person to say summer reading is not just for kids, but I am the youth services person and I'm in charge of it. And so it's under my section of the website. So if you get here and you're like, oh, I can't remember what it's under, just think it's Beth's part of the website. She's the youth services person. I'm going to go to the youth services section. And then takes you to this page. I'm going to do a really quick shout out at the top section there that says professional development opportunities for youth services staff. There's 3 links there that I like to just make sure those youth folks out there are aware of. The first one says youth services training opportunities page. This is where I post a lot of the upcoming trainings and things I'm going to be doing, but also towards the bottom of that page are just general resources for youth services folks. So just a heads up, you can get to it from here. The next one down is the events calendar. This is, again, a quick link to the State Library's events calendar where you can register for trainings. And then the third link down says archive training website, and that is where we post all of our recorded webinars. It's where this one will eventually be posted. And so, yeah, I just like you to know that you can, there's other ways to get to it, but they are all shortcut linked from here. I do see, Kathy, it looks like your hand is up. I don't know if if you have a question, if you could put it in the chat. Okay. I thought maybe it was an accident. Great. The next section, though, that we're going to focus on today is the Collaborative Summer Library Program section. It's the second one down here. Going to make it a little bigger for you so you can see it. And the resource website that I will send you the link to is this one, Resources for Summer Program Planning. And so what is on it? What does it look like? It looks like this. It starts at the top with some general resources. Those tutorials I mentioned earlier are linked from there. There's a link to the CSLP website. There's some other stuff that's kind of quick access there at the top. And then as you scroll down, you'll come across the programming resources I'm going to talk about next, and then also the related partner ideas that I'm going to talk about at the end of this session. And then the other thing I want to point out is on the right-hand side under other resources is the CSLP 2025 font guide. So I like to post this here because I know that many of you like to create your own individual program, advertisements, publicity, and so you sometimes like to match up the fonts so that they kind of all look like they go together. So that is also in the online manual, but I know it can sometimes be hard for folks to find, so I stuck it here too. So just heads up, it's there. The next thing I want to tell you about on this CSLP section of my section of the website is summer program ideas for the current year. So I have been going and doing in-person workshops. All through December, I did some. I'll continue to do them in January. And you can, if you're curious, I mean, you're attending this, so you don't need to go to an in-person one. But if you did, You could go to our online calendar that I explained earlier, and you could register there. Um, but at those in-person workshops, we share program ideas with one another. We have kind of a roundtable sharing time. And I collected those ideas and I post them here so that everybody can see what everybody else is thinking about doing, or maybe an idea that they have. And it's kind of a one-stop browsing shop if you want to kind of jumpstart ideas in your brain. So this is what that page looks like. Again, at the top, there are some shortcut resources, but then as you scroll down, you come across the actual program ideas. So it starts with all ages or any age. Those are programs that I thought, well, you could do this with just about any age group, or maybe a multi-generational program. And then it goes into preschool, school age, teen and tween, and adult. So there's ideas for all those different age groups that are here. Um, I just share as much info as the librarian shared with me. I try to fill it out as best I can. I include links if they've given me a resource website or something. I link to that. And yeah, it's really a browsing list. Oh, yay, Robbie. It's really a browsing list. So again, so you can kind of give your brain something to think about and maybe get inspired by. You can search by hitting Control F, and then the browser will usually pop up some sort of search window and you can search for a keyword. So if you are looking for something particular, you can do it that way. But otherwise, you can just kind of scroll through. And then going back out here to the CSLP page again, summer program ideas from past years is also linked from there. So it's not just this year's program ideas, but I have program ideas from, gosh, probably at least 5 previous years, maybe more, that I've collected through the years that are all posted there. So you could come here any time of year. If you're just feeling like, oh, I can't think of anything new that I want to try, this is a good place to come and just kind of read through, see what other people have done or are thinking about doing through the years. And maybe you'll see something that's new to you and looks interesting or like a good idea. Really quick, while we're talking about navigating the state library's website, I do want to show you Indiana Public Library staff how to get to the listservs to sign yourself up so you receive news and updates about summer reading from me. This is where I also post my upcoming trainings and things like that too. So you'll start at the Services for Libraries page again, so you can see there it is again. And then you're going to scroll down this time. So below that stuff up at the top, you'll get to a list that's alphabetical. And in it is listservs for librarians. There it is. And so you go there, and then there's a whole list of different listservs that you can sign up for. I personally send most of my stuff out and the summer reading information out to 3 different listservs. One is In Child Prog, so that's children's programmers. Yappers, which is YA/teen programmers. And then In Publib, which is kind of the general Indiana Public Library staff listserv. So if you sign up for any of those, you're probably going to get most of my emails and information. You don't have to do all of them. You could do one, just a heads up. Okay. So let's look at other resources. First of all, I would be remiss if I did not point out, of course, we have the program manual and it is already chock-a-block full of art-themed ideas. So, again, don't make it hard on yourself. Don't reinvent the wheel. See if it's already been thought of. Maybe they've already really thought out a lot of the elements that you'll want to use for a program. That being said, if you want to come up with your own ideas, you might also just want to supplement from here. Sometimes there are activities or well, not coloring sheets, but like activity sheets or craft ideas that might fill out your program that you've already thought of. So do check it out. It can be a little overwhelming, this manual, because there's a lot in it, but like any good librarian, I encourage you to check out the table of contents. that can give you a good idea of what's going to be in here. And I know it's probably hard for you to read this because it's pretty small and a little bit blurry. But the important thing here is to know that you can look at them by chapter, which are more thematic. I'll share those chapter titles here in a second. Or you can look by age. So if you only serve one particular age group, you're only a teen and tween person, or you only do adult, you can go straight to those section, like those program ideas, and see the list of what's available. Um, Here are those chapter headings again. You can see that they really have gone for all types of arts. There's performing arts there, photography, writing and storytelling. Those are definitely in the arts, right? So we're embracing all of the arts this summer. As it has the past few years, the manual does also include a getting started guide. This is particularly helpful if you're new to working with a particular age group or to doing summer reading at all. So there's tips and tricks for working with preschoolers in the early literacy section. There's also stuff about working with children and tweens, with working with teens and adults. There's multi-generational and intergenerational thoughts advice and ideas. There's a school outreach toolkit that could be helpful to you. Check it out. There's an inclusion checklist. There's info about bilingual and multicultural story times. So definitely check it out if it is something that you think could be beneficial to you. Other places where you can get programming ideas and advice and things like that, the CSLP Summer Symposium. So it's already happened this year. It happens in early December, but the recordings are available and they're posted on the CSLP website. And I've also linked to them on the resource website. I'll send you the link too. This year, the keynote was Michael Threets. Some of you may have seen him at the ILF annual. He is basically, I call him the social media librarian. He got popular on things like TikTok and Instagram. And he's just an awesome, positive person. He gave a really great pep talk. Everybody came away feeling good about what they do and reinvigorated. So check that out if you're a fan of Michael. And then there were 3 additional sessions you can see there: marketing, process art, and making summer sustainable. If any of those are interesting to you, go check out those recorded webinars, and you can earn LEUs for those too. CSLP is an approved provider. If we've got any Pinterest folks out there, CSLP still has a Pinterest page, and they have started updating it with this year's theme. So go check that out if you want some art-related ideas. Is anybody in the Facebook CSLP official programming group? They have their own official group on Facebook. So if you're still on Facebook and this is interesting to you, definitely check it out and request to join it. Oh, yay, we have some folks who are in it. So it is a private group because, again, this is a membership-based organization. But when you click join group, it'll ask you a few questions about where you work, I believe. It's just verifying you work at a library in Indiana, and just answer them honestly, and you should be good to go, and they'll let you in. If you have any problems, you can always let me know, though, and I will nudge the social media committee and ask them what's up. So definitely check that out. It's a place where folks ask questions, where they share ideas, and you can certainly ask your questions there too. It is a national group. So it's gotten pretty big. You can see there's over 12,000 people in there right now, which is a lot, but that's great. And then similarly, I also like to make sure folks are aware of the Programming Librarian Interest Group. This one's also on Facebook. And it is run by ALA. You don't have to be an ALA member to join it, but it is run by them. And it is also a closed group. So you also have to request to join that one too. And I'm sure that's just to kind of keep, random folks from coming in and maybe causing trouble. But it's another, just like the CSLP one, only not summer specific. It's just a good general place to potentially go and get, ask your questions to a lot of different people with a lot of different perspectives. if there's one thing librarians like, it's to share their ideas and expertise. So definitely check those out. Teaching books. Who here has heard of teaching books? I hope most of you. But if not, Teaching Books is a database that is part of the Inspire collection of databases offered by Indiana, the Indiana State Library. All those databases in Inspire are available for free to all Indiana residents to access. And Teaching Books is literally a database that is there to help you teach with books. It kind of is what it says it is. It provides resources like book discussion questions, author interviews, book trailers. There's a great author name pronunciation guide. So if you don't know how to say an author's name, you can go there. They probably recorded it. But it's just a great general resource. And the reason why I bring it up today is because they have taken the CSLP book lists that are in the manual, they've put them into Teaching Books, and then they've just made sure that there are like resources attached to all of the books that are on those book lists. So if you want an art-centric or themed book this summer, whether it's for a book club or an activity or whatever, come here and you might see if there's any additional resources there that might help you out. And then this is just another great general programming resource website. It's called StarNet STEM Activity Clearinghouse. Hopefully some of you are familiar with it. It's a really, really wonderful STEM programming resource because it's full of program descriptions and guides on a variety of different STEM topics. It does tend to be a little heavy on space and earth science because one of the major contributors to this is the Space Science Institute. But there's still lots of other great stuff here. So if you're thinking of doing any STEM programming, do go to the STEM Activity Clearinghouse. You can search by, again, keyword, and then you can filter your results by a lot of different things, age group, cost, time to complete it, difficulty, and more. So do check that out. Okay. And I'm going to keep moving because it's 11:52. I have just a couple more slides. And then if there's any questions at the end, I'd be happy to take those then. Additional ideas. So I want to highlight some kind of potential partners slash presenter, ways to find presenters this summer. Again, these are going to be linked from that resource website that I told you about that I'll send you the link to. And the first one that I wanted to share about is called Arts for Learning. So Arts for Learning is, again, a nonprofit, and its goal is to bring arts education into the schools and into communities. So they have a big partnership with the Indianapolis Public Schools, but they also do things with other community groups too. And the thing that I really like about their website is that they actually have kind of almost like a database, at least a listing of or directory almost of artists and different arts organizations. So if you go to partners, you get this drop down menu, you go to find a teaching artist, it will take you to this grid where it has like all of these different artists listed. And there's all kinds of folks here, from individual, independent artists to things like Adzooks puppets. Some of you might be familiar with Adzooks because Adzooks will not only perform for you, but I believe they will also do like an educational program about working with puppets. So here's an example of one, you could still, once you click on somebody's name, it opens up a little more information about them. This is an artist named Beatriz Vasquez, and it gives you a little description of the sort of art she does. She has included a video. Not everybody has videos, but she did, with basically walking you through a paper-based art project, a torn paper art project that she can do. So you could learn how to do that on this. And then over on the right is request this program. So you can like connect with the artists and look into potentially hiring them. Now, I'm certain that most of these are not free. I'm sure you probably have to pay for them, but I think that's only right. I think artists should definitely be paid for their work. And I would think the library thinks so too, but they might be reasonable. And they might be willing to work with you depending on how far away from you they are. So it's definitely a good place to start and kind of browse and see if there's anybody who looks interesting. Also on their website, if you go to programs and then our programs, they have more information about hands-on workshops and things that they do as well. So just a good website to be aware of and to explore. Another one is the Council for Art Education, and there is a list of art centers and art organizations, nonprofit organizations in Indiana. And you can see they're not all located in Indianapolis. Some of them are statewide, some of them are in various parts of the state. So you can check those out, see if maybe they might be a potential partner for you, either directly doing programming or working with you, or maybe helping you to locate a performer or presenter. Oh, yay. Somebody is familiar with one of these. That's great. And then one more, this website provides resources. It's called Art Smart Indiana. It provides resources for teaching Indiana history through art. It was originally funded by the IMLS and was developed to support the teaching of Indiana history in fourth grade, because that's the year that they learn about Indiana history here. And so there are teacher resources and guides as well as videos. I just thought it was a really interesting take on art that I think a lot of even adult patrons would be very interested in. So whether you're using this in your own programs or to learn more about it to present a program, or whether you're just sharing this as a resource with your patrons, maybe your adult patrons, I think it's a great thing to be aware of this summer. And then just, of course, one more reminder that local artists and performers this summer are your best friends potentially. And looking out into your communities to seeing where you can partner. Do you have a local coffee shop? Maybe you can sponsor a local musician to come in and do a couple hours of music, and the library sets up a table and you sign people up for library cards, or you get them signed up for summer reading there or something. There's lots of different partnership ways that you can, multiple organizations in your community can all work together to support artists and things that you have living with you in your communities. Just a heads up, if some of you were not aware of this, we do have a list of performers and presenters on the State Library's website. This is in no way an endorsement of any of them. It's just a service that I am providing, and that it's kind of a list that you can browse and get started with. And so let me show you what the list looks like as you scroll down. They're divided by types of performers. Um, and then they have to have a website. These are people or presenters who were recommended by other Indiana Public Library staff. So there's a form at the bottom of this website that if you have a performer that you're interested in recommending, you can fill it out. And as long as they have a website and you say that they are good and you've seen them, and that you would hire them again, then I will post them to this website. I post only every couple months. I'll go in and update it. Um, but just a heads up, that's how it comes about. This is really about all that I have the capacity to manage, is just putting the website. So I apologize. There's not things like reviews or more detailed information, but that would be just impossible to keep updated all the time. Speaking of updated or keeping it updated, if you happen to be in here and you find a broken link, or you know that a presenter doesn't present anymore, or you've seen them and you don't think that they are good, you can feel free to email me. My email address is at the bottom of the website. Let me know and I will look into it. Yes. Sure. Yeah, Leah, give me just a minute, okay? All right, so I have one more thing to mention, and that is Summer Food Service Program. Summer Food Service is a national program run by the USDA. It's run locally by the Indiana Department of Education. It's for areas with free or reduced lunch of 50% or more. And usually libraries participate as a food site. So if you are interested in doing this and you don't have anyone else in your community that's acting as a site where kids can come and eat meals this summer, then I definitely recommend you look into this. There's resources on that resource page that I'm going to be sending out to you all that kind of give you all the links you should need to be able to research this a little bit more on your own. If you are a library that is either a food service site, or maybe you go and partner with other food service sites in your communities, it's a great time to get connected with kids who maybe wouldn't come into the library anyway, like normally. So you get to see new faces, you can offer programs to them. And it's a great way to make sure those kids who are, there's a lot of food scarcity in this state. Those kids who don't have enough to eat in the summer because they depend on schools for some of their meals, it's a great way to get them food and get them fed in our communities. All right, so that is my last slide. And I have posted the LEU certificate link. So if you need to request an LEU certificate, you can go to that link and do so. My email address is up there if you have any questions. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. So if you're watching this as a recording, thank you so much. And good luck with planning your summer.